If you didn't get the result you want so far in trading, you might be asking yourself, what stops you from full-time trading? And that's what we'll talk about in today's video. What's up traders, welcome back to Bangkok in Thailand. Once again coming to you with another video from my apartment here. I'm here for some time, not very long. I'll be going some other place pretty soon, but today I want to share with you, importantly, why you might be not reaching your goals of full-time trading and kind of what's stopping you and kind of how to shift it to be able to get the result that you want to have. And I believe that's important. So we'll go through these 5 reasons. There's I think a lot more than that, but you can comment below if you have any other reason, any other thing that you think stopped you in the past from getting result in trading full-time. But here are like the 5 main that I've seen a lot of traders kind of struggle with. First thing is putting things to later. Now this is a big issue that people face, and they tend to put the backtest or the speaking with traders or going to meetups to later, like whenever they're gonna have time to do it. And that rarely works really well. That tends to lead to you putting more things to later and then never getting anything done. I talk to people sometimes that I met like 3 years ago when I started to do videos online or started to kind of help people more in trading, and they're still at the exact same level they started because they didn't put in any work and they always put it to later, always an excuse for not doing the work now. So like they're too busy with the job, or they have this and that, or they don't feel like they have enough knowledge, which we'll talk about later also. But that's something you want to think about. So if you're putting things off to later, chances are you will never get to it, or you will always kind of find a way to put it to later, or find an excuse for why it cannot be done now, and you gotta put it also again to later in the future. So it's good to have a plan of like how you want to make things, and you want to go over time and progress slowly, and that's fine. But think about how can you make sure that you still have a plan of action, which might include some things later, but that you still put in the work to get to those actions, get things done and progress. So that's a pretty big reason why you might be stopping yourself from full-time trading or getting the result you want in trading in general. The second reason is you're not showing up with the diligence of a CEO or like a big person from a company. And that means that like you might be showing off sometimes, like you show up in your pajama to open the chart and trade, or you just review the market whenever you feel like doing it, which is something I've struggled with also a lot in the past. But you gotta think about the fact that if you want to get results, you can't show up with the mindset of like a part-time worker or a worker in a shop or factory. You gotta show up with the mindset of a CEO, doing the work, doing everything that needs to be done, and also focusing on the things that lead to the biggest result in your trading business. Not just like doing what you feel like doing when you want to do it, doing what needs to be done and having this as your task, your main goal for the day, showing up, getting it done, and then leaving for the night and having fun and doing something else if you want to decide. That is much better than just trying to do things half and not getting much done in the end. Because you want to show up with the mindset of a CEO, think about how would a CEO of a company like Apple, Google, Microsoft if you want, like what would they do? How would they show up? What would they have as a mindset for the day? Would they just show up and drink coffee all day and not work much? Or would they show up and kind of maybe have a cup of coffee, doesn't matter, but show up and like do the work and get things done and spend time on what they need to spend time on, not all the other things around. So that's a big shift. Just shifting your mindset around this can shift your action and shift how you do things and ultimately your result. And the more you shift your mindset, the more results tend to follow. So pretty massive key over here. The third reason why you might also be stopping yourself from full-time trading is if you don't have a strong enough and renewed why. So why you do what you do, why do you want to trade, why you want to grow this business of trading. If that why is only kind of it won't really work. But if that why is really strong, really clear, and you feel driven by it, then chances are you'll put in the work late. Like when you feel like going home and doing nothing, you'll push yourself a little bit to do the work, and that makes sometimes all the difference. So if you don't have a why, you're not having any result, and that's for sure. But you also want to think about the fact that your why should be renewed. So for example, me, my why at the beginning was to get freedom. Now today, guess what? I have freedom. So I need to find a new why, because like otherwise if I just say I want to have freedom, I wouldn't do anything all day, because I guess I have freedom now. Why would I work? So I have to find a new way. Like, what is the next why? What is the renewed why that I want to achieve? Why am I doing this? And this comes down now to contribution, helping people, making a difference. And that was not my first why, but I had to shift it over time. I had to change it to getting something that today makes sense for me. And that's why you want to do the same. So if you get some result, or maybe you don't get some result, but you just change your mindset, you change maybe your way of seeing things, then change your why. Because think about this all the time. You gotta have this at the top of your mind at all times. And that's gonna lead to, as I said before, you doing the work later, you're getting the result that other people don't. Because they only do it for maybe the money, or maybe they don't have enough reason why they do something. And they stop when they get a little bit of result, while you're gonna be continuing and pursuing your goals, even when you have some result. And that's gonna make the biggest difference. So that is the third thing. Now the fourth reason why you might be stopping yourself from trading full-time is if you favor short-term pleasure over long-term growth. Again, we talked about this before, also putting things to later. But overall, think on the fact that if your goal in the short term is to spend time with your family, and that's the only thing you care about, and maybe you need to sacrifice in the short term to get big result in the long term. And if you're not willing to do this, then maybe you want to reconsider what you do. Maybe you want to think about taking a step back and just spending time with your family, but not getting a result. And that could be fun if that's what you want. But if you want result and short-term pleasure, chances are these don't really match well together. It's like having a pizza if you want to lose weight. Short-term pleasure, the pizza, but losing weight is your goal. Now you cannot have both all the time, of course. You can have short-term pleasure sometimes, but not always. Or your goal is to make a living trading, that's your long-term goal. But in the short term, you spend all your evening out with friends at the pub, or cleaning your car, or whatever. These are all short-term pleasure that, if you do all the time, cannot allow you to reach your goals in the long term. So you want to be very careful. Pick the short-term things you want to have, but keep in mind that you need to be doing the work for long term, and that's also important to think about. Okay, so that's the fourth reason why you might be stopping yourself from trading full-time. And now the fifth and final reason I've seen is if you're wanting to find a big shortcut all the time. Like you're looking for the shortcut at every single time, and that doesn't really work well in trading. There are some shortcuts, and that's totally fine. There are ways to not waste time, there are ways to not spend your time on the wrong things and stuff like that. But overall, if you're always looking for the big shortcut, you won't find them, and you will waste more time than most people doing the work. That will mean, for example, trying to find a strategy from someone else, and you just try to copy them and do what they do, and then you waste your time doing this. Or you like your strategy hop, you try to learn, but it doesn't really help. So if you're always looking for a big shortcut, how can I use TradeAlert to be successful? Some people think about, they want to use other people's setup for them to reach their goals of full-time trading. And that doesn't work. Big shortcut, no result. So you want to be careful about what shortcuts you pick. And if it's too big, chances are it doesn't work. And you want to be careful about how you see things and what you perceive as shortcut and what you perceive as doing the work. And just do the work most of the time. Now shortcuts are fine, but do the work first and take shortcuts if you want later. Okay? Because in short, those are the 5 reasons why you might be stopping yourself from trading full time. If you have any other reason you've seen or anything that stops you yourself, comment below in the comment section. Here are a few comments about this video. I appreciate you guys for leaving comments as always. Subscribe if it's not done yet, and I'll catch you back here in Bangkok tomorrow. Ciao.